found when we shared our stories with these families was that there are supporters of gay rights from all walks of life, all ages, all income groups, all races, religions, all different persuasions. And that, you know what, actually when you stop to think about it, most of them are straight, because those of you who are straight, you outnumber us rather significantly. And that's one of the reasons why I've been so excited to get involved with a new LGBT rights organization in Cleveland called simply Ask Cleveland. And the reason we're called Ask Cleveland is because asking is so central to our approach to LGBT rights. We ask voters to support, for example, the Domestic Partnership Registry that just opened in Cleveland this past week. And if you recognize Lee Fisher, for real, this is Lee Fisher back here. Stand up for a second, Lee. If you recognize Lee Fisher, it's because he and his partner were one of the 4 couples who were featured in the Plain Dealer last week. So when we heard that there were people collecting signatures to put the Domestic Partnership Registry on the ballot to try to take it away, we said, well, we're not going to wait and see what happens. We're going to go talk to voters on their doorsteps, and we're going to identify the voters who are actually supportive of this, so that if this winds up on the ballot, we know who we need to get to the polls. And you know, this is a Democratic club meeting, so this should all make sense to you. You've all done this work. From there, that's our initial thing. We ask people to support LGBT rights. When we find our supporters, we ask our supporters to become involved in our campaign. We don't just say, we're a membership organization, give us your dues, and we'll get back to you sometime later. We say, terrific, we're about building a grassroots movement. Here are some things that you can do. And I want to tell you about some things that you can do if you care about LGBT rights. If you think that it's wrong that when I was offered a job opportunity last year and raised my concern about the fact that the employer didn't offer domestic partnership benefits, that employer said, you know what, sorry, we don't want you anymore. That's perfectly legal, unfortunately. If you think that's wrong, if you think that it's wrong for potentially for the Domestic Partnership Registry to be taken away, if you think it's right for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people to be treated equally under law in this country, then we want to talk with you. And I've got volunteers in the back here. In addition to Lee Fisher, I've got Joe Drungle and Jen Flieger with me tonight. You can recognize them from their Pacific Blue t-shirts. And we'd love to talk with you after the presentation. I will mention, first of all, a fun event where we can get to know you some more. Tomorrow night at Barcento on West 25th Street, the restaurant has generously offered to donate a nice percentage of proceeds from the evening to Ask Cleveland. So it's a fundraiser night where all you have to do is show up and eat food and drink beer, or cocktails, or wine, or whatever you like to drink. Tell them that you're there for the Ask Cleveland fundraiser, and that'll be a great opportunity to help us out and have a good time. We also have some upcoming volunteer opportunities. We're actually doing a Friends and Family fundraising training on Thursday evening at the Progressive Urban Real Estate on the West Side as a lead up to actually doing a Friends and Family phone bank. We actually, just our leadership team last night raised about $3,000 in an hour and a half doing this. So it's an opportunity to get prepared to help us out, but also build your skills, which is something we believe in. Then this weekend, we're going to be out at Hessler Street Fair and can use some help there. And we're also looking down the road, going to have folks out at the AIDS Walk and can use some help there. We always need folks to help us canvass And I know that in any Democratic club meeting, there are at least half the people in the room who actually secretly really like canvassing, like I do. So I encourage you, we're in a brief hiatus from canvassing because our goal this month is fundraising. We want to hire our first staff person. We've outgrown being just a volunteer organization. And that leads to the last thing, which is donating. We certainly would value any contributions you might like to make. I've been chatting a lot, so let me just ask if there are any questions from anyone. Yeah?
Do you have any connection with or association with or common interest with Stonewall Democrats?
Sure, yeah. I'm a member of Stonewall Democrats, as are several other people who are part of our leadership team. We so we have, like with everything else, there's overlap. Sure. We haven't done any sort of formal working together kinds of things so far. And partly that's due to the fact that since I did all of that Obama work this past year, I've brought a lot of those relationships into this organization. Sure. But yeah, we really do. We really are interested in working with everyone in the community who's involved. Steve Bennett, for example, who I don't think is here tonight, but who's someone who I talked with early on, because Steve's a good canvasser. Some of you might know that. There's certainly folks from Stonewall Democrats we've been working with.
Yeah, you just got to stress that people are people. Period.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you want to explain what the register is and what the function is?
Of course, yes. I apologize, and so the registry went into effect Thursday last week. As I'm sure you all know, since passage of Issue 1 in 2004, for now, the deal is sealed. Ohio will not have same-sex marriage. Ohio will not have civil unions, at least as long as Issue 1 stands. So the Domestic Partnership Registry is none of that. And it does get a little bit confusing because there are places where domestic partnership registries really are kind of like civil unions. To me, sadly, that's not possible in Ohio. The registry is simply a way for any unmarried couple, same sex, opposite sex, whatever, over 18, who live together to make a public declaration of their commitment to each other and get a document from the city of Cleveland that establishes their relationship. So they can use that document, for example, to help them get hospital visitation rights. Though sadly, in my opinion, the registry doesn't compel hospitals to recognize it. It can help. Increasingly, employers have been looking at offering domestic partnership benefits. I work for Case Western Reserve University. They offer domestic partnership benefits. And one of the struggles that employers deal with is, well, we'd like to do this, but how are we going to figure out who's qualified? And this makes it easy. An employer can just say, well, if people have a certificate of domestic partnership, then we'll recognize their relationship. So it's simply an instrument that couples can use in the legal sense. I think in the symbolic sense, it's also something that that affirms people's relationships. There were people who registered on Thursday who have been together 20, 30 years and have never had any kind of recognition of their relationships. And I think it also, frankly, sends a good message to the rest of the world about Cleveland, that Cleveland is really working hard to establish that we are a modern, progressive city, that we're welcoming of everyone, that we want our talent to stay here, and that we want new talent to come here. And so I think that in terms of the symbolism, that's also part of it.
And the other question is, I think that this is it's each individual city it's an option of the city it isn't, so, and I don't think Cuyahoga County or any other cities around here have such a.
Cleveland Heights.
Cleveland Heights does, yeah, okay.
Cleveland Heights does, that was established in 2003.